Hey YouTube, what's up? Thanks for tuning in. Hope you saw my video about the new small DumboRC Radio X6PM-350. I think it's awesome, and there are a lot of different receivers available for this radio, and I guess I can show you all in this video. There are the old ones, the X6F and the X6FG with gyro, without gyro, and I guess there are some mini or MIDI of those available. I saw those on AliExpress. Don't know if those are genuine DumboRC, which should have the same functions, but the plugs in front direction and are smaller. Those are maybe the only ones I do not have and cannot show you, but they should work the same way. And then we have the tiny DumboRC X4M and FMG with gyro, without gyro, with micro plugs, JST ZH 1.5mm, my favorites. Then we have the DumboRC X6DC with gyro function with a light controller. Quite puzzling, a lot of functions. I will show those in this video. And then we have the X6FP, which does come without manual, which does check the LiPo voltage of your truck or model LiPo, what's super nice. Should have light functions. We will see how this works. And then we have the large 3-in-1 receiver ESC light controller unit, the BL3F with gyro. So all of those, but the X6FP you can buy with or without gyro. And this ESC light controller and receiver unit. So let's check how those receivers work and what their functions are. It's not that easy because most of those do come without manual and are quite puzzling to program. So let's start with the super popular DumboRC or DumboRC X6F and X6FG 6-channel receivers. Those two only differ in the gyro inside, so the FG does have a gyro inside, the F not, and I will show you all the functions, which are not a lot now on the FG, how the gyro works. So let's connect a servo and an ESC. Servo and ESC and motor connected. Binding of those is super easy. Here's the bind button. I do this on purpose now, wrong, to show you the blinking light. Normally always switch on the radio first and then the receiver. Press the bind button, keep it pressed, and now you see it blinking, and then it is in bind mode. And as soon as you switch on your radio, it will be bound. However, normally always switch on radio first and then receiver. Why that? Not only in old times with 27 or 40 megahertz radios this was important. It's also important here now. If there should be a body with a further DumboRC radio switched on near, it would bind to those, but in our tiny crawlers or tiny trucks we normally use, that's not that important. However, if you fly helis as I do, this is super important, or planes, but also if you have large race trucks and heavy trucks, it can be super dangerous if you don't do it that way. I know there are a lot of people on YouTube doing this wrong, switching on the receiver or the model first and then the radio, if you see those. So now it's bound, we have the motor running. Here it is. And the gyro is not functioning now. To activate the gyro, you have to press the button here 3 times. You see, the color has changed from green to red, green, what is now yellow, and now you see the gyro is working, servo is moving. And you can adjust the gyro sensitivity here now on channel 5 on this knob. So if I turn it totally to the left, gyro is not working anymore. Now it's about in center position. It's working a little bit. And now it's full position. It's shivering quite a lot. And now check this. You can also change the direction of the gyro. I move the receiver now counterclockwise. And you see the servo arm is going to the left side. And to change the direction, you have to press the button 2 times. And I go counterclockwise again, and the servo arm moves to the right. And change the direction again 2 times and to the left. And to switch off the gyro 3 times. Now normal green light, no gyro mode anymore. So that's easy, and most of you do already have those X6F DumboRC receivers with or without gyro from their larger old X4, X5, X6 radios. Cheap, works very well. And now to my personal favorites, of course, the micro receivers, the DumboRC X4M and X4FMG. What means this one does have a gyro. They only differ in the gyro. And those do come with micro plugs. They do come with 1.5mm JST ZH plugs. So unfortunately, those are not the same plugs as do come, for example, in the FCX24 radios with the new FlySky radio, or also in the CR18P radios. Those are JST GH with only 1.25mm, so not using the same plugs. But there is another point that's super important. And I want to point it out before I show you the receiver. Those JST ZH 1.5mm plugs are also used in micro racers. So if you buy those servos for a Mini C or whatever, they have those plugs, and they do come with the correct polarity for the DumboRC micro receivers and also the small ESCs. This is a Surpass Rocket one. They come with the wires in the correct position. However, those 1.5mm plugs are super popular, and probably much more popular than in mini racers, in micro helis, in micro heli flybarless systems, and in satellite receivers for your radio. And check this out. Probably it's hard to see here, but those, I guess here you can see it, those do come with different polarity, and this is super important. The micro flybarless systems for helis, here that's a Micro Spirit, and also the Vortex Pico and the super popular Microbrain, they use the same polarity as all the satellite receivers use for their cables. So check this out. That's such a satellite cable, and they do have the red wire plus on the outer side and the black minus on the inner side. And also if you buy servos for those, that's a micro heli servo, you can see it here, black in center, red on the outer side. If I would plug this servo to the DumboRC micro receiver, probably the servo would be destroyed, maybe even the receiver. So always check this, and that's mainly important if you buy, for example, such satellite wires like those ones. It's still packed, and you see those are super sturdy. So if you want to make your own wire for a normal servo for this micro receiver or an adapter, and crimp or solder a servo plug, a normal one, and cut one of those extension wires, or solder this wire to the wires of a servo with a normal plug, and then the polarity here would be different, and you will destroy your servo, maybe your receiver. So super important if you are working using micro plugs, always, also for the smaller ones, check the polarity first. Those Heli servos, probably also super fast, a good servo for some micro racers. They do come with different polarity in plugs than the servos that are made for micro racers, and that's a kind of odd and stupid and super dangerous. Take care if you are using those receivers. But the tiny FlySky receivers for the FlySky radios, the GMR AF-HDS3 protocol for the FlySky Noble and Noble Pro, and the tiny FS R4M for the FlySky radios with ANT protocol, the G7P or the Relay Gen 4. They also do come with 1.5mm JST-ZH plugs, but they do come with wires of the correct polarity for the DumboRC receivers and for the micro racers. So same polarity here. Check the servo and the wires coming with the FlySky receivers, white, red, black, and the DumboRC micro receivers unfortunately do not come with wires, the X4FM and FMG. That's a GMR for the FlySky Noble. You see those DumboRC receivers, about the same size, super nice. I love them. And here a FSR4M for the ANT protocol FlySky, so about the same size. So I love those tiny DumboRC X4FM receivers. And now let's connect it, ESC servo. So here it is, connected, channel 1 to a servo, channel 2 to an ESC and a motor. It has a mode button, that's also a bind button, but all those DumboRC receivers seem also to have a kind of auto bind, but I will again show you how to put it in bind mode. So press the button. Again, I do it wrong, radio is not switched on now, and switch on the power. Would be nice if I would have an ESC now with switch and stay for several seconds, and you see fast blinking, that's bind mode. And then if the radio is already on, it will bind immediately. I will again show you the gyro version because there is no difference. So out of the box, as it comes from factory, there is no gyro mode. And now there's a question. This is only a 4-channel receiver. Will there be a possibility to adjust the gyro sensitivity? Again, to get it in gyro mode, 3 times pressing, and you see now there is red, blue light, and the gyro is working. But it's only a 4-channel receiver. So let's check what happens. Channel 5, I turn it full down, and no gyro anymore. So that's super nice. That's not a 4-channel receiver, that's a 5-channel receiver, because it can adjust also the gyro sensitivity. So it's off now, and medium and full gyro sensitivity, and of course motor works too. And now let's check the gyro sensitivity or the direction of the gyro. If I turn the receiver clockwise, the servo arm goes counterclockwise. 2 press, and now if I turn the receiver clockwise, the servo arm also goes clockwise. And to switch it off again, 1, 2, 3, only blue light, no gyro, gyro off. Now it works as this one without gyro. And of course the tiny receivers also are able to do the mixed mode to control a winch, for example. So to go in mixed mode for channel 3 and 4 to control this tiny winch, you have to turn the steering wheel full clockwise and full reverse the throttle trigger as you have seen in my first video. Press the button, sound, press once again, and then now those channel 3 and 4 buttons are lit up blue, and now we are in mixed mode for channel 3 and 4. Press the button again, and now we are in mixed mode, and that way we can control the winch by using channel 3 and 4. This also works with the tiny radios, receivers, of course. And if you want to go back, full clockwise, full reverse, press till sound, press once again, and then now the mixed mode is off and it's stored, and now the winch does not work anymore. Opa. Using channel 3 and 4. So that's it for the tiny ones. Awesome tiny receivers. X6F and X6F with gyro. And the gyro receiver isn't really a 4-channel receiver because it also can control the gyro intensity, so it's a 5-channel receiver. I love those. And now to the X6DC gyro. This receiver does also have a light controller and pins for lights here. It does have 2 buttons on the front side. That's for controlling the gyro binding, and on the back side that's for controlling the different light modes, and that's quite sophisticated, quite complicated. So initially I will only connect the servo and an ESC to show you the basic functions, and then we will check the light functions. Again, binding mode, press the button and then switch on the receiver, switch on radio first. I do this not here only because of demonstration purposes. Keep some seconds and you see the blinking. Now it's in binding mode. And if it's bound, blinking stops, but they all seem to bind even without pressing the binding mode. So that's a bit strange in those DumboRC receivers. And here we have the basic functions and no gyro function, and same as in the other receivers, 3 times red light, and now we are in gyro mode again. Channel 5 full to the left side counterclockwise, gyro mode is off, center, little bit of gyro, totally clockwise, gyro function to the maximum. And again, check here, if I turn the receiver to the left side counterclockwise, servo arm goes to the left side. To change the direction, 2 short press, and now direction is changed. And now again, and to turn it off, 1, 2, 3, gyro mode off. And now let's check the light functions. And now to the light functions of the X6DC gyro. And those light functions are quite genius, but also puzzling. And the receiver, I think, does also have some bugs. However, all in all, for that price, it works awesome. The receiver, that's the only type of receivers that came with a manual to me. This manual, Chinese and English, however, that's by far not as good as the manual that comes with a new DumboRC X6PM-350 radio. That's Chinglish and it's super hard to understand. And also the labeling of the light connectors or the plugs for the lights is quite puzzling, but that's given on the manual and you can see it here from left to right. CL, that's cornering lamp, so that's turning light and blinker. It isn't labeled what's left and right, you have to test here. Then SL is stop lamp, that's the red rear light and braking light. Then FL is flashlight. I do not know what this is. I connected a lamp, a LED, I will show it to you. That doesn't work in any mode or with any press of any buttons. And then we have BL backup lamp, so that's the reverse lamp, the white one normally. And DRL is daytime running light, so that's the normal front light. What I have to say and have tested, you have to use LEDs with resistors. I checked all ports with LEDs without resistors and destroyed all. They will all work for a bit of time and then stop to work, so there is no amperage restriction or stop or control, and you have to use resistors. I used 100 or 120 for the white one LEDs and 200 for the red LEDs, of course depending on your voltage, but with about 100, 120, 150 for the white ones and 200 for the red ones, you will be right. If you do not know, and use a separate resistor for each LED if you connect them in parallel. And if you don't know if your LED sets do have resistors or not, if you buy sets to plug into your receiver, normally they do come with resistors, but if your LED set does come with a model with a light controller, maybe not. And it's quite easy to see. Maybe you can see it here. Those two bulbs, that's the resistor, and if there is no bulb in the whole line, then there is no resistor. You can try without. As already mentioned, I tried it and I destroyed all LEDs. For controlling the light functions or the different modes, there's not the front button, but there's the rear button. If you switch it on, you can see that's called the blue LED. And what's also quite puzzling, the lights or the function you used it after or before switching off your radio seem not always to be stored. However, it works, but it's super puzzling and the manual was not really useful for me. I played around quite a lot with this receiver. So front button for gyro binding and the rear button here is for the light functions, and that's now quite puzzling. In normal mode you will have channel 3, you will have turning lights right and left, you will have reverse light, and you can already see kind of braking lights. If the car stops, braking lights are full on. As soon as you are on power, they will glow weaker, and in reverse they will also glow weaker. And then you have channel 3 and 4 to control the lights. Channel 3 is to control the hazard lights. Press it one time, the push button, and there's quite a delay, but now it starts. And also switching off, check this, quite a delay. And channel 4 is for controlling the headlights. Delay, and now blinking, and now the headlights are on. And the same for switching those off, blinking, off. And there seems to be no possibility to switch off this blinking, short blinking before the lights are on or off. Didn't find any solution for this. And the delay is quite surprising. And then there are many options to change the light functions. So if the reverse light should go to wrong direction, that's easy to change. You have to press this button only one time, and now the direction is changed. They say also for the brake lights. And that's one of the bugs I already told you. You should switch on off the receiver after programming, because sometimes it works without reinitializing, but sometimes not. However, now come on. And you saw the bugs I mean. There seems to be quite a confusion. Now I have the reverse light in front direction. Switch it off and on again. Don't know what the problem is. Guess you have to wait a little bit to initialize. Maybe that's the case. Switch off, switch on, because it's so slow. Yeah, now it works. And you see now the reverse light is in wrong direction. So press the button once, and now it should be in correct direction, but I will switch it off and on again. And now everything's in correct direction again. And hazard lights, one press, very delayed. Front lights, main beams. Off. But that way you lose, of course, channel 3 and 4, because you use channel 3 and 4 for controlling the hazard lights and the front lights. And there, this receiver has a genius function. You can press this blue light button 2 times. 1, 2. And now I switch it off again and on again. Check this. The front light button shouldn't work anymore. No, it does not. And also the hazard light button shouldn't work anymore. No, it does not. And therefore, to switch the front beams and the hazard lights, you have now to use the steering wheel. That's not super easy. You have to try, and after some time you will check how to do it. 2 times will switch on the front lights. Yes, and now without those blinking lights before they start to be on, without brake. So 2 times off, 2 times on, and no blinking mode. And if you want to turn on the hazard lights, 3 times. And switch them off 3 times. And that way you can use channel 4 and channel 3 for what you want and don't have to use those for the lights. So that's super, super, super nice. And all the time now, maybe you saw something, I think not, because I tested it for quite a bit. I wanted to show you, I connected a LED, and this LED works, so it's tested on the other channels, to this flashlight position. And I do not know, it's here, I don't know what it does, and I played around with this receiver and the light function for quite a bit of time, and this never was lit up. It was lit up on the other positions, so the LED does work, but I don't know what this FL flashlight plug is for, because it does not seem to work. So switch them off. That's super, super, super nice. Really, that's an awesome function. And if you want to switch this function off because you want to use channel 3 and channel 4 buttons again for controlling the lights, 2 press, 1, 2, and for, come on, and those are the bugs I meant. Now the front lights and the hazard lights are on, and there was this strange blinking, but you can now switch off the hazard lights again. 1 press, channel 3 with delay, and you can switch off the front beams also. So now you have the normal functions again. But there are 2 more options. There is a mode called Sport or Linkage mode. And to get into this mode, you have to press this blue light button for about 3 seconds. I hope you can see this in camera. Do not press now. Now I start 1, 2, 3 till flash. So now this sport mode or linkage mode is on. I switch it on and off, on and off again, because it never does work. So, and now check this, channel 4 for the front beams doesn't do anything anymore, but channel 3 for the hazard lights, this still works. And what's this sport mode? There you control the lights by the throttle trigger, so the front beams will only be on if you go forward, and if you go reverse, this reverse lamp will be on. You can change this if you want. If you want to change the direction, press it once for a short time, and now check this. If I go forward, the reverse light is on, and if I go reverse, the front light is on. Now I did not switch off on the receiver. Press it once again, and now again going forward, the front beams are on. Going reverse, the reverse light. So you can now use channel 4 for what you want, but channel 3 still controls the hazard lights. If you don't want this in sport mode, you can also change this. Therefore again press 2 times, and now this should not work anymore. No. And I have to turn the steering wheel 3 times to switch on the hazard lights. Servo doesn't work after changing some modes. That also happens regularly, so I switch it off and on again, and now servo does work. And now the steering wheel should control the hazard lights 3 times. Come on. Okay, now servo didn't work again. Off, on, off, and front beams still in this sport mode. If you want to go back to normal mode, press again this button for about 3 seconds till flash. Now I switch off and on again. Come on. Okay, it works, but there are some bugs and I don't really know the reason. Battery is full. So again with flashing mode, control front lights by channel 4 button and control hazard lights by channel 3 button with quite a bit of delay. And there's a further mode, they call it simulation mode. I don't really know what that's for. And to get into this mode, you have to first press the button for about 3 seconds, first blink to get in the sports mode, and then 6 seconds again. First blink, second blinking. And now we should be in this simulation mode. The main beams shouldn't be switched on again, controlled by the channel 4. Hazard lights still controlled by channel 3. But what's the strange thing now? If you turn the steering wheel to the right, the rear light is on, the reverse light, and if you turn it to the left, I should have switched off and on again. The radio, don't know what this problem is. If you turn it to the left, the front light is on, and to the right the rear light is on, and they tell you this is if you wanna go with a tank with chains. So if you are in mixed mode for channel 1 and 2, and then this is useful, I have to think about it. Maybe it's useful if you are in this chain mode I showed you in my first video. And if you want to go out from this mode again, 6 seconds, 6 and 3 seconds, and now we should be in normal mode again. Come on, yeah, with blinking and hazard lights work with delay. So quite awesome, quite complicated, with a bad manual, so not easy to understand. You have to test a lot. What this flashlight channel is for, I don't know. It doesn't work. And what those bugs are, I would switch off and on the receiver after programming, and then mostly the stuff works, because after reprogramming sometimes servo doesn't work, sometimes motor doesn't really work. However, if you have your mode and the normal mode, I really like the normal mode with 2 clicks and control the lights by the steering wheel. 1, 2, come on, yes, works. 1, 2, 3, hazard lights, yes, works. 1, 2, off. 1, 2, 3, off. And this is really, really nice. That way you can use all 6 channels on your radio and control hazard lights and main beams by the steering wheel. And now to the probably most complicated or puzzling receiver, the X6FP. This receiver does come without any manual, so it's super hard to know what it can do and how to do. Description says it can control lights, LEDs on every channel, but I could not really verify this. And it can control the voltage of your LiPo, of your car LiPo, or the LiPo of your model. And that's true, that's a super nice function. And it has a function here, a PPM plug, 3 pins. That's probably for a kind of trainer function or whatever. You need a special cable for this. Didn't see it so far, and I couldn't find any other function in those 3 pins. The button on the X6FP does not have to seem any further function than getting into bind mode. So press it, and now it's in bind mode, but normally, as already mentioned, turn on radio first. And it does not come with a gyro, so you can't buy it with a gyro. And now let's check. It's said to have light functions and is able to control lights on every channel, and I couldn't verify that. I only found that the channels do a kind of dimming of the lights. Then I played around a lot, and you have to plug the plus wire, the red wire, to the signal, and the black wire to the minus. And then that's now on channel 6. The light will already glow, as you can see here. And if you press channel 6, this flickering is only because of the camera. If there's on camera, it's a little bit of light, and now it's less. I hope you can see this, maybe that way. On camera I see it's flickering, but it does not. I hope you can see the 2 different weak, strong, weak, strong. That's now on channel 6, and this works on every channel. So now on channel 5, even on channel 5, with a turning wheel, you can only adjust the intensity of the light. So now it's totally weak, and I turn the knob of channel 5. Come on, I will want to show it, and I hope you can see this on camera. To the left side weak, to the right side super bright, and that works with all channels, but I didn't find any option to switch on or off the lights. But there's a further channel on this receiver that's called LED plus minus. That's 2 pins here, and this channel does switch on a light. So check this out, and it does switch it on off by channel 3. So here you can switch on and off a LED, but all the other light functions do not really work. It's a kind of dimming, and it's super weak. If you connect 2 LEDs in parallel, it's really already very weak. And although that light that is flickering, but that's only the camera, it's not flickering. That's now on channel 5. That's not super bright. So I do not know how this should work. You can control every light by, or a LED or a light by every channel, because it does not really work. So we can do this on channel 4 now. Same thing. It's not flickering. Strong, weak, strong, weak. And only channel 3 controls a light on off. And that's with this port here with the 2 pins called LED plus minus, and this works by channel 3. That's a light switch. And then we have this B plus and B minus. And that's a super nice function that really controls the voltage of your LiPo. You have to connect plus and minus. Here I did it to the plus and minus of your LiPo. You can see this here. And now on the radio you see it seems to be full, the red arrow down and 2 green lights. So the battery seems still to be full, but we want to check how this works and how it does control the voltage of your LiPo, and therefore I do connect it to my lab power supply. And you see now 8.4 volts connected and 2 green lights and the red arrow. At a full 2S LiPo I go down 8.3, at 8.2 these are 4.1, there's only 1 green light and the red arrow, and then I go down to 7.8, 7.7, there's only the red arrow, and 7.6 there's the alarm. That's 3.8 volts per cell. That's when I would stop flying my helicopters and planes. And perfect storage voltage. I know many of you guys with your micro trucks go much lower with your cells, but that's how the DumboRC receiver is programmed. And you can also do it with a 3S LiPo, but therefore you have to start with 3S. So I disconnect the function and raise the voltage to a full 3S LiPo, 12.6 volts. Connect it again, and you can see here 2 green and a red light, and I go down 12.5, 12.4, 12.2, 12.1. At 12 volts one of the green lights stops, and okay, 11.3 alarm, 11.4 only the red light, 11.5, 11.4 green light, red light, and 11.3 volts. That's about 3.8 volts per cell. Again, the alarm starts and you should stop and change your LiPo. So that's a super nice function, to be honest, in this receiver. However, curious how this trainer function should work, and it would be highly recommended to DumboRC to, let's switch on the light again, to give a manual to this receiver. I tried about every option, but was not able to change anything in the settings by the button, and was not able to make all those plugs or places for the channels to work as light switch, only as light dimming, so low light and high light. And the channel, this channel here, that's a nice light switch which is controlled by channel 3. And finally, to the BL3F gyro. I have the gyro version, what's a 3-in-1. It is a light controller, has plugs for LEDs here, also for a buzzer, and a receiver, of course, a 6-channel receiver, and it has an ESC built in. It works with 2 to 3S LiPos, and it can also take from an external ESC up to 10 volts of voltage if you want to run high voltage servos, but then you cannot use the ESC that's built in. It has two buttons. One is the mode button to change between the different modes, and the right button is for adjusting the gyro and also for getting into bind mode. For getting into bind mode, you have again simply to press this button. I do it now with an external ESC. Press the button, stay, switch it on, and it's in bind mode. And now I will connect a battery here to this plug. It's protected against wrong polarity, and the motor here, and then we will check how this works. So battery, and it's connected. I should plug the servo into channel 1 and not channel 2. So all the normal functions, and motor connected too, but I did have it in a wrong mode, in the airplane mode, by this button. With this button you can switch between forward, reverse, crawler mode, what's green light, red light is brake mode, so forward, and blue light, that's airplane mode. You see, it's still full reverse. I wouldn't know who would fly an airplane with a radio of that form, but if you use it in a stick radio, that's of course useful. And gyro is off now, and again same thing. 3 short pushes and the light turns from green into red green, and the gyro works. Again, you can adjust the sensitivity. Now it's off by the channel 5 wheel, medium and 100%. And now I turn it to the left side, and the servo arm goes to the left side. 2 short pushes, change of gyro direction. So 3 times, and now I'm in not gyro mode. That's quite awesome. But low speed modulation seems not that awesome. I will test it in the end in a small truck and compare it to other ESCs. But now let's plug in all the lights. So here it is, all lights plugged in. The first port is for a buzzer. I have one here. It does not work. I will show this to you later and compare it to the old DumboRC ESC. Then we have the corner lights, what's of course blinkers or turning lights. We have the park light, what is the normal red reverse light. Then we have again a flashlight, as in the other receiver. I connected one, but it doesn't work, doesn't seem to have any function. The backlight and the headlights. And the headlights are controlled by channel 4. Hope you can see it. And this time, without any flashing, what's quite nice, we have the right and left turning lights. But I didn't find any option, and I guess I tried every combination I could think of to get hazard lights. And we have the brake lights or park lights and reverse lights, so they are always on, can't switch them off. At least I didn't find any option. And if they are at 100% or full brightness if you're standing still, and if you're driving forward or reverse, they are weaker. And we have a reverse light. And what I found playing around, now the reverse light is in correct position, so if I go reverse, but if that's wrong, you have to use the mode button, the left button, and press it for several seconds. And you see all three lights for a short time, and now the direction of the reverse light and also of the brake lights should be have changed, and it does. Now I have the reverse light if I'm going forward. So press it again for several seconds. Oh, I'm in a different mode now. I didn't want to do this. Come on, green, and press it. All three lights, and now it should be in reverse direction again. Okay, that's the whole light controller, at least what I could find. There is no manual, and I pressed all the buttons in every way I could for several seconds and whatnot. That way I did find a way to change the direction of the reverse light, but I didn't find any different light modes. So the channel 4 is probably always used for switching on and off headlights here, and no hazard lights. And now I will show you the function of the buzzer, which should work as low voltage buzzer, and will show you that it does not work, and will show you how it should work, because it did work in the good old DumboRC ESC, which is not sold anymore. That's was really a bang for a buck. So now the low voltage buzzer is connected, and the receiver ESC unit is connected to my lab power supply, because I want to go down and show how it works. It should give alarm at 7.6 or whatever. Now we are at 8.4 volts, 8 volts, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 6, 9, 6, 6, 6, 2, no alarm at all, no matter which direction I connected. And I will show you now that this does work, because if I use the old and worthy DumboRC light controller ESC, then the buzzer works. So DumboRC ESC, the good old one, connected to channel 2. Motor works, of course, and a low voltage buzzer connected to the buzzer plug of the DumboRC ESC now, which it should work here too, but it does not. And powered by lab power supply. You see 8.4 volts here now. I reduce the voltage 8, 7, 9, 7, 6, 7, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 7, 3.5 volts per cell. The low voltage buzzer gives alarm 7, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's how it should work, and unfortunately it does not work in the BL3F G. I don't know what's the problem. DumboRC does know how to do it. And finally, let's test how the DumboRC BL3F ESC does work. Low speed modulation, how good it is or how bad it is. And therefore I will simply use it in my Hobby Plus CR18 Trail Hunter and compare it to the stock ESC unit, which is quite good. So here the Trail Hunter Hobby Plus CR18P with stock ESC, and you see really nice low speed modulation, tiny little bit of whining, but super nice. And of course it can bash too. Those are those Flysky units, the same one that do come with the FMS FCX24. And now let's use the DumboRC ESC receiver unit. And now the DumboRC receiver ESC unit in the Hobby Plus CR18 Trail Hunter. You see I connected the motor to the motor port and the stock battery to the battery port. Everything's working. And let's check the low speed modulation. There is no low speed modulation. Unfortunately. That's super bad. For crawlers, no option. That's really not good. Let's compare it to the old DumboRC ESC, which is quite nice but quite noisy. So here now the old good DumboRC, the newer one in box, is really bad. This one is quite nice, connected to the DumboRC ESC receiver light controller unit and to the T-Hunter. And let's check this. Okay, it's noisy. That's the downside of, but this is a $6 ESC. But check the low voltage, the low speed modulation. Way better than the DumboRC ESC receiver unit. So this is really good for the price, for those few packs that this ESC costs. It is awesome. And now let's compare it to a real good ESC for micros. Now I connected a really good, one of the best you can get for micros, a clam flow ESC to the DumboRC receiver ESC unit and to the motor of the T-Hunter. And now check what's really good. Check this low speed modulation. Unbelievable. Wow. And of course you can bash. And now let's finally go back again to the DumboRC ESC, the BL3F. That's so bad, as we've seen, to keep this in mind. And now again back using the ESC of this receiver ESC light controller unit, and check this out. Unbelievable. Don't understand why they do it. So that way you can use this receiver ESC unit, the BL3F, for a basher, but not for a crawler. And I really cannot understand why DumboRC does this. They had this old super cheap $6-7 ESC years ago. It's noisy, okay, but low speed modulation for that price is really okay. Then they changed it to the version with the box, and that is that bad or as bad as this one. But this is horrible. Why do they do it? There is no low speed modulation. Nearly not. Why do they do it? This would be such a nice unit and cheap unit if it would have at least the capabilities of this one. It can be noisy. Noisy is annoying, but low speed modulation is much more important. No. If you want to bash with a small truck, okay, but not for crawling. So that's it for this video, guys. All the receivers for the new DumboRC X6PM-350. I love this radio. Check my review video. It's really awesome, a lot of functions, but they do also work with the old X4, X5, X6 radios. Some of the receivers awesome, some not so. The old X6F and X6FG with gyro, awesome, no complaint at all. And for a super price. And my favorites, the tiny X4FM and FMG 4-channel, the FMG with gyro, even 5-channel in my opinion, because you can adjust the gyro sensitivity with channel 5 with the knob. Love those. Then we have the receiver with light controller, the X6DC with gyro function. Well, should be awesome, does have some bugs. Really not sure about the light functions, and then servo doesn't work. However, with gyro, without gyro, and the light functions are awesome in normal mode. You can switch to the mode to turn on the hazard lights and the main beams by turning the steering wheel, and therefore will not lose channel 3 and 4. That's super, super nice. And then the rather strange X6FP without gyro does not really control lights, only by one channel, channel 4 here with this plug, or was it channel 3? Check out my video. But what's awesome is the battery voltage detection of your car LiPo. Super, super nice. Manual would be super nice, because there seem to be future functions at the kind of trainer mode or whatever. No manual with this receiver is really puzzling. The X6DC was the only receiver that came with a manual, but the super bad one, not by far not as good as the manual that came with the X6PM radio, more in the style of the old radios. And finally, the 3-in-1 unit, the receiver, light controller, ESC, the BL3F with gyro. Gyro works, but there are a lot of flaws. I would never buy this because of the super bad ESC. ESC low speed modulation is awful. You cannot use this for a crawler. Horrible for a basher maybe. And the buzzer function doesn't work. Don't know why. Otherwise, if this ESC would have the same quality low speed modulation only as the super cheap old DumboRC ESC, this one which was released first without box, then it would be super nice. The buzzer, don't know what the problem is. And the manual would be nice too. Has some light functions. In this flashlight doesn't work as in the other receiver with light functions. So DumboRC, some manuals would be nice. And this receiver, light controller, ESC unit, it's only such a big disappointment because of the super bad ESC. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope to see you in the next video. I'll be back.